In the headlines, PDP presidential candidate whose Abuja indigents pledges to address their issues if elected. Fuel scarcity lingers in Kaduna as DSS ultimatum ends. Dignity, freedom and justice take center stage at 2022 edition of International Human Rights Day. And lastly, German man freed more than 4 years after kidnapping in Niger. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Martia Umar. Now the news in detail. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has pledged to address issues affecting indigenous residents of the Federal Capital Territory if elected as president in 2023. Atiku Abubakar, who spoke during his party's presidential campaign rally, which held at the Eagle Square in Abuja, says he will initiate a constitutional review aimed at addressing challenges in the FCT, as well as other sectors such as education, security, and business. Sagir Ibrahim has more.
The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party during the campaign rally stated that he is not oblivious of some of the challenges faced by residents in the Federal Capital Territory. He, however, promised that if given the opportunity to serve, every part of the country will be included and given a sense of belonging.
What you have demanded, which requires constitutional review, we assure you we will support that review to make sure your aspirations are protected or are guaranteed in our new constitution. Every part of this country will be given a sense of belonging. No part will be sidelined, no part will be marginalized. We have pledged to restore security. It is very, very essential that we give everybody a peace. A farmer, peace to go to the farm. A trader, peace to ply the runway, the highway, go and sell his goods. Peace for everybody. Today, we have the highest number of out-of-school children. We will make sure that these children go back to school.
Others who spoke during the campaign explained that his experience as a former vice president makes him the most qualified among his co-contenders.
Atiku Abubakar has the experience of governance at the national level, at the federal level. He is very familiar with the issues of the FCT and its people. I'm sure he will address all of that when he comes on stage.
We are working together with the youths and the women of this country and our elders. We can collectively steer the ship of governance in such a way that it will be well with each and every one of us. The poverty that we see today, in the next 4 years, starting from 2023, May 29, it will no longer be so.
We don't want an experimental president. We don't want a president who will come and deceive you, who will not know what to do. You know that we woke up one day here in Abuja and we were threatened that the whole of Abuja is going to be attacked. Insecurity is affecting everybody. Many of you here all over the country, you can't travel to your home state because the roads are blocked by bandits.
They, however, called all Nigerians to come out in their numbers in 2023 to vote out the current APC administration, which they claim has not fulfilled its promises to Nigerians. Sagir Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Northwest support groups for the APC presidential candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu say they are poised to ensure massive mobilization for the party to ensure victory in 2023. The groups gave the indication while speaking to journalists after a closed-door session with zonal leadership of the APC presidential campaign council. Trust TV's Ballo Musa reports.
Speaking shortly after the closed-door session, Deputy Coordinator Northwest APC Presidential Campaign Council Salihu Lukman says the party is set to surpass its previous record of mobilization, just as he dismissed perceived threat that could undermine the party's chances ahead of the election.
Beyond speculation, we are on ground in Northwest. If you go to Kano, you will discover that Kano citizens are not dealing with individuals, they deal with political institutions. NNPP is yet to be a political institution.
Spokesperson Northwest for the APC Presidential Campaign Council Mohammed Shehu Molash says the party will demonstrate its strength at the rally as the biggest voting bloc of the APC in Nigeria.
Just an affirmation. This is the house of APC in the country. This is the stronghold of the APC in the country. This is where APC was incubated. This is where APC is firmly rooted. So therefore, what will happen on the 13th is just an affirmation that we are the strongest of all the APC bloc in Nigeria.
Leaders of some of the support group marshal out their plans for the mobilization.
Today's meeting is a serious business, is to mobilize for the 13th rally.
APC has been on ground in the Northwest and Kaduna State in particular. So we are going to unleash it.
The issue about Muslim same-faith tickets. I mean, religion, we have been praying, right? It's only competency that solves economic situations. It's only competency that solves security situations.
The APC zonal presidential rally is scheduled to hold Tuesday next week. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
And still on political matters, the presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, has visited the Oni of Ife, Adeyeye Ogunwusi, to actualize his 2023 presidential ambition. Kwankwaso, who is also former governor of Kano State, used the opportunity of his visit to inaugurate NNPP's campaign offices in Osun and neighboring Ekiti State. Taken to his Twitter handle on Saturday, the NNPC candidate commends his party members for the tremendous work they have done. He also thanked the revered monarch, the Ife Council, and the good people of Ile-Ife for their grand reception. The Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has asked the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike and other governors to disclose the spending of the oil derivation refund of 625 billion naira recently paid to them by the federal government. In a statement on Sunday, SERAP's Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadare wants the governors of the 9 oil-producing states to provide and widely publish details of spending of the oil derivation refunds of 625 billion naira recently paid to them, and details and allocations of the project executed with the money. Recently, the current administration paid the oil derivation funds to the governors of Abia, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Delta, Edo, Rivers, Ondo, Imo, and Cross River State. The payments, of which cover 13% oil derivation subsidy and Shore P reforms, dates from 1999 to 2021. And for scarcity continues to bite in Kaduna State as hawkers still selling at higher prices till this time. And at these higher prices, it is despite the 48 hours ultimatum given by the Department of State Services to NNPC, limited on oil marketers. Trust TV's Bello Musa reports that many filling stations were empty and not dispensing fuel to motorists.
As Nigerians groan daily at filling stations, the stark reality of this predicament is one they cannot fathom. Like a recurrent nightmare, the perennial fuel scarcity has worsened in Kaduna metropolis. Many petrol stations are under lock and key, while the black marketers are having a field day. A litre of petrol in Kaduna sells for about 250 naira to 300, worsening the conditions of cash-strapped residents of Kaduna who are already grappling with high prices of goods and services.
There is no fuel. We are managing to trek. There is no fuel in the filling station. They are empty there. They are empty, so we cannot afford to be paying transport fare.
They are having difficulties in buying petrol, and even if we get it, we often buy it higher than the official rate. We often buy a liter of fuel at the rate of 295 naira and sell it at 350 naira per liter. We sell 4 liters of fuel at 1,500 naira. Some of the black marketers in Kaduna have alleged that the security agencies are arresting them. It is true that DSS are arresting us, and they are collaborating with other security agencies to confiscate our fuel. They urge the government to alleviate their plight. Advising the government to alleviate the plight of Nigerians. Calling on the government to assist us by providing job opportunities for our teeming youth. Despite the 48-hour ultimatum by the DSS, the lingering fuel scarcity still persists across several states of the country. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
The 10th of December every year is marked as Human Rights Day. And as the world celebrates the World Human Rights Day, Nigerians have called on governments of various levels to improve actions on the protection of lives, properties and people's rights in the country. They also asked people to guard their utterances to avoid breaching the peace. Silas Lawan takes a look at the freedom of speech in the digital era. The report.
Technological advancement in the country has produced new forms of social conflict. The digital revolution is no exception, lowering the cost of distribution and content creation between ordinary individuals and the mainstream media. Some broadcasters say although there is a need for the mainstream media to balance their stories, some bylaws require a total overhaul.
Whatever comes out of your mouth is something that you can defend. Therefore, you don't go about perhaps making opinion based on without facts or figures. You just concoct something and then you say it. It's very irresponsible.
Broadcasting. People have fundamental human rights to react to whatever situation they find themselves, the topic we use. You know, we are agenda setters. They have the right to seek for opinion. They have the right to contribute to any issue at stake.
The business of journalism is not like every other business. You must go with the ethical standards. But unfortunately, we still allow ourselves to be immersed in terms of either where you're coming from, who owns the business outfit, what the person's agenda is, what the person's thoughts is, what the person's mission is. All of these are impediments that we have to take away from the system to allow for us to do our jobs.
Meanwhile, some residents speaking off camera on the theme of the World Human Rights Day 2022, Dignity, Freedom and Justice for All, urged the government to revisit the issues that led to the NSAS nationwide protest against the police in 2020 and other human rights-related issues. A legal practitioner in Yola, Sunday Wigira, speaks on the responsibilities that come with freedom of speech.
You should know that as much as you have rights guaranteed by the Constitution, so also the other person. So as much as you cherish your own, you should also know the other cherishes his own too. And so long as you are looking up to the government to protect your own human rights, you also have a duty to protect the right of any other person.
They believe that spirit of activism will not die until the rights of Nigerians have been absolutely protected. From Yola, Salis Lawan, Trust TV News.
Now, the need to end barbaric acts that greeted the Second World War as a way of promoting universal human rights has again been emphasized. This was the focus of discussions at the 2022 commemoration of the International Human Rights Day in Abuja. Chamung the Bank reports.
The theme for this year's commemoration is Dignity, Freedom and Justice for All, a theme that reverberates in the Nigerian society. In 2021, Nigeria was accused of numerous human rights crimes in the 2021 Country Report on Human Rights Practices produced by the U.S. Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights and Labor. Allegations by the organization included arbitrary detentions, illegal and arbitrary killings by both state and non-state actors, enforced disappearances by the government, terrorists and criminal organizations, amongst others. In total, 62 cases of arbitrary arrests, ill treatment and torture were documented. Ambassador-at-Large IHRC Duru Hezekiah speaks on the value of the document.
They say that development, of course, development, infrastructure, they are part of our rights. But when this development is not sustained, it's insufficient. When development is not people-oriented, it's insufficient. When people are not enjoying the development, it's not impacting in our lives. It doesn't make sense. And that is why they say that development must be sustainable. Development must protect the rights, must respect the rights of the people. 1 million to help people. We mustn't wait for government to impact lives. Everybody, you can do it with the little you have. If you are faithful in that little, God will give you more. And that is why we should get to our villages, get to our communities, find who needs you, find who needs help. This is what human rights is all about.
Though the document highlights 30 undeniable rights of every individual worldwide, in addition to Nigerian laws, many Nigerians are still unaware of their basic human rights.
Human rights are the legal instruments of human rights at the international level I'll make it singular, is referred to as the International Bill of Rights, meaning that this Universal Declaration of Human Rights we are talking about today, and what my learned friend referred to as the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights that was enacted in 1966, together with the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. These three documents form what we refer to as the International Bill of Rights. And these rights determine the rights that you have as a human being, and they also determine the rights that you have to determine the quality of life that you are entitled to.
Many Nigerians still lack basic amenities like water, security, electricity and proper education, which is an infringement of basic human rights. Hence the need for the Nigerian government to rise to the occasion. Chamun Dabing, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching Trust TV News updates. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at final resting place of some emirs in Lokoja. Details of this report and more after the break. Stay with us.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secure are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Already, if you look at England squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. A recap of our top stories again. We told you earlier that PDP presidential candidate Woo's Abuja indigenes pledges to address the issues if elected. And the fuel scarcity lingers in Kaduna as DSS ultimatum ends. Moving on to other news, bicycle is considered the cheapest means of movement because it does not require fuel to move. But in recent times, there have been a hike in its price, and in particular Nigeria, making it out of reach for many. And this report, Noah Sansi gets to look at the reason behind the hike in prices for bicycles and why customers still go for it despite the price. Take a look.
Bicycle is also called two-wheeled steerable machine that is paddled by its rider's feet. German inventor Karl van Dries is credited with developing the first bicycle. His machine, known as the Swift Walker, hit the road in 1817. The importance of bicycle cannot be overemphasized. It can be used as a form of transportation and also for exercise. But in Abuja, the price of bicycle can go as high as 100,000, and clearly this is beyond the reach of many people.
People tend to start using bicycles to ease the movement. Aside from that, there's a lot of people also that are using bicycles for exercise, at least especially for the adults. When they get to the hospital, they ask them to do exercising. The increase in the price of bicycles, although not all the bicycles are quite expensive, there are some that are still on the average. Although, you know, the issue of exchange rate is part of what is causing it.
But despite its increase in price, some customers still deem it fit to still go get them for their own different reasons.
Bicycles, number one, they are fun. They are a good source of exercise. And to me, riding a bicycle is a skill. For the few scarce states, I think the bike is the best subsidy for it. Like, you don't have fuel, you can ride on your bike to wherever you're going. Even abroad, people ride bike all the time. Now that everywhere is fuel scarcity, you don't want to go and waste your time 10 hours on the queue. Sometimes you have to be very careful, but it's safe when you know where you're going to. Don't ride it too far, don't go to the unsafe routes. Always go to the safe routes because of the security condition, of course. You have to be security conscious.
Basically, it's not because of the fuel issue. I think it's because of exercise for adults. Key, you know, these days so many people are health conscious now, and then they realize that biking is a very good activity to keep fit, to lose weight, to check general body, to maintain general body systems against any kind of high sugar levels, blood pressures. So it's not about the fuel hikes.
Biking isn't just good for physical health, it is good for mental health as well. Plus, cycling is the most suitable mode of transportation for short and medium trip distances in urban cities. The question, however, is it safe to ride bike in Abuja, where chaotic vehicular traffic is a common feature? Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Lokoja, the capital of Kogi State, is hosting tombs of deposed prominent northern emirs and West African traditional rulers. These prominent emirs were deposed and sent in exile to Lokoja for refusing to surrender their kingdom to colonial masters. Lebaran Tijani, however, reports that their tombs are now returned to residents or even abandoned. His report is presented in our studio.
Many of these deposed emirs lived, died and buried in Kabawa and Angunkura areas in Lokoja. Late Emir of Zazzau, Aliyu Danzidi, deposed in 1920 but died on May 2, 1926 in Lokoja. He was buried at Angunkura area of Lokoja. His grandson, Ahmad Nuhu Bamali, is the present Emir of Zazzau. Late Emir of Kano, Alu Baba, popularly known as Meisango, was in 1903 exiled to Lokoja, where he died in 1926. His tomb is located behind Kabawa Primary School in Lokoja. Late Emir of Zaria Muhammad Lawal, who died in 1927 in Lokoja, and late Emir of Gwandu, Malam Muhammad Aliyu, were two great late emirs buried at the same place beside Kabawa Secondary School in Lokoja. Also buried in Kabawa, Lokoja, is late Emir of Futa Toru, Muhammad Bashir. He was said to have been deposed from a region in modern-day Senegal and Mauritania and exiled to Lokoja, where he died. His tomb is in a family home close to the tomb of Emir of Gwandu.
These are the people that oppose the colonial administration of them. So because of their opposition to the colonial imperialism, at that particular time, now the colonial administration now dethroned them and brought them down to Lokoja, because Lokoja was the capital of the northern region.
Late Emir of Bidda Esonupe, Malam Abubakar's tomb is located along Kabawa Street Road with an epitaph. Malam Abubakar, who refused to be agent of collaborators with Lord Lugard administration. And late Emir of Gumal, Ahmad Abubakar, said to have ruled from 1896 to 1915, but died in exile at Lokoja in 1916. His tomb is located around the present Kabawa Primary School in the vicinity. However, the state of some of the tombs raises questions. A young man Abdullahi Ibrahim, who keeps watch on the tomb of late emirs of Zazzau and Wendu, said royal families from the ancestral homes of the emirs tend to be indifferent. The case of the tomb of the late emir of Kano, Aliyu Mai Sango, is instructive. His tomb was abandoned to the weeds until the Kano state government fenced the tomb and built 2 blocks of classrooms beside the tomb of the late emir for Quranic education.
They won't take care of this place. Those people that take care of the owner of those chief, they came here several times and they asking me how am I take care of this place, and I told them. Since then they said they will be paying me. Since then I've not seen anything. Since when they're gone, nothing has been done about the place. Upon that, we are still try our best to make this place okay.
The community in Kabawa continues to preserve the tombs of the deposed emirs as historical monuments depicting Lokoja as colonial capital.
Now on the foreign scene, a German aid worker has been freed more than 4.5 years after he was kidnapped in Niger. In a statement on Saturday, the organization did not provide details of how or where George Lang, a 63-year-old engineer, was released. Armed men on motorcycles kidnapped Lang in April 2018, and at least 25 foreigners and an untold number of locals have been abducted in the Sahel region since 2015, according to the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project. 5 foreigners remain captive, according to the organization, including Reverend Hans Joachim Lore, a German priest kidnapped in Mali's capital Bamako in November. Others still detained include French journalist Olivier Dubiers, who was kidnapped last April from northern Mali, U.S. national Jeffrey Wodke, Australian Dr. Ken Elliott, and Romanian national Julian Chagot was also abducted from a night in Burkina Faso and has been held since 2015. And that brings us to the end of the news update at this hour. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us across all our social media platforms for more updates. I am Martia Umar. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.